Greetings, you've reached the voicemail of Sylvester Da Silva, renowned paranormal investigator and psychic medium of the highest order. I regret that I'm currently indisposed, likely immersed in matters of profound supernatural significance. Kindly leave your particulars and rest assured I shall return your call at my earliest convenience.
Hey Sylvester, it's Carrie again. It's Halloween, where are you? Hello and welcome to the Halloween 2024 special. I'm Carrie Saxon and not with me is Sylvester Da Silva. I think what would be best to do is just tell you all about my hauntings from a really special point of view. So let me go back to... What? Best of? Best of? Oh, we only done like 3, 4 episodes. Best of. Okay. Okay, welcome to the best of the Silver Linings Ghost Book Halloween specials. Hello and welcome to this special Halloween episode of Ghost Book Podcast. I'm Carrie Saxon and unfortunately with me is Sylvester Da Silva.
What do you mean, unfortunately, Carrie?
Hey Sylvester.
Who else is it going to be?
Have you got anything you'd like to say to me or?
Happy Halloween.
That's it, is it? Just happy Halloween.
Oh, Ray, Carrie, I can read between the lines here. I think, is it an apology you're after? What is it? What have I done this time?
Well, you snuck in a studio and you and your boy Richard were in there having a lovely happy episode. And what came out was everything I've ever done wrong on here. How would you like me to react?
To be fair, Carrie, there was a little bit of this little guffs, little mistakes, little things like that I've done. All the unused material, all the stuff that you told me, we can't even put that in. Which says something about the stuff that we did leave in.
Yes, but you had that choice. I was not given a choice and I asked you not to do it and you did it anyway.
This is the trouble, see, Carrie, is that when you've got a narcissistic personality like mine, you can't help yourself.
Oh, that's it, is it? It's just...
Yeah, exactly. It's my mental health. It's my mental health, Carrie. How are you? It's been such a long time, hasn't it?
Been a really long time.
Well, we were recording the original podcast during the COVID pandemic.
Yes.
So we all emerged from the cellar from that time. And now we're out in the open to discover that the world is a much better place.
Is that right? I don't remember
of course
that.
not. You just have to turn on the news to see that it, quite frankly, is the opposite.
Let's
exactly.
Talk about Halloween. Happy Halloween.
What a coincidence. What a sheer coincidence that it is that we're now, a cynic might say that we're doing this as some sort of cash in, which is wrong because there's no cash being exchanged here at all, is there?
There's definitely no cash being exchanged.
Certainly not into my hands.
And let's be honest, we would have released one last year, but we didn't, did we, Sylvester?
No, we didn't, because I think there was some sort of miscommunication going on there.
I believe so. I believe you said, go away, I never want to speak to you again.
No. That wasn't me. I had a personal assistant, so
right.
They did take matters into their own hands sometimes, and it wasn't just you. There were several people that they sent this because I just said, "Listen, I'm not in the mood. I've got some serious psychic investigations to be cracking on with. Just politely tell people that I am currently indisposed." See, we were just coming out of lockdown, so I was let loose. Sylvester Unleashed. Sylvester Da Silva Unchained. That could be the name of a book, I think. Da Silva Unchained or Unleashed.
But that is a really good idea, but it's already your YouTube channel. So can you really milk that for all it's worth? Or
Carrie, you know me, I will milk something until there is absolutely nothing left.
Good point.
Until the udders are just deflated balloons in my hands. I shall milk it for all it's worth.
Well, that's good to know, because there might still be life in this podcast then.
Yes.
Oh,
We
that's
shall
even.
find out. We shall find out.
You can contact me on my website, Carrie Saxon Paranormal.
This is news to me, Carrie. Carrie Saxon Paranormal.
Welcome to our show. How are you, Sylvester?
I'm not too bad, thanks, Carrie. Another year has passed.
I know. How has that happened?
Even last year, we were saying, oh, here he is coming out the woodwork for Halloween. And lo and behold, here we are again.
Yeah. And how has your year been?
Oh, plodding along, this, that, the other.
Plodding. That sounds so
Plodding
good.
along. I know, I hate that phrase. I wish I'd never said it.
Obviously, you know about my podcast because I begged you to come on there. And
Sorry?
you know my podcast?
Yeah,
Carrie
yes.
and Ghosts.
Oh, your podcast. Yes, of
Yes.
course. Yes, I remember.
And I begged you to come on there.
Well, I think beg is quite strong, isn't it?
Well, what is it? Kind of explains what happened.
I mean, you asked politely, I suppose, several times.
And sent you up to 50 emails.
Exactly. But then I think this is a good compromise, isn't it?
Well, you said it is the only compromise, you said.
Well, only compromise, but it's something we know. It's something that the listeners clearly love because the downloads are still coming in or going out or whatever. Anyway, let's crack on. Let's get into it. The Halloween show. Ooh.
Halloween.
Yeah, which has obviously been commercialized and people just go around. It's just a bit of a laugh now, really.
Yeah.
What I would have suggested, though, Carrie, is if not for this lockdown business, I'd have said, let's, like in the last series we did, let's get out there and let's find somewhere haunted. I know you're a cynic. You cover that ad nauseum, gone over that. Oh, there's no such thing as ghosts. I've been cooped up inside for a week now. Very akin to Jack Nicholson in The Shining, actually.
Okay, so all work and no play for you, is it?
All work and no play makes Sylvie a dull boy. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I've got a touch of the writer's block at the moment, and there's two ghostly girls that appear on the landing holding hands saying to come and play. I'm like, no, I can't. I got to get this book finished.
So you're writing a book, okay? This is news.
I'm trying to, but it's just not happening. I don't think. It's probably not I'm not getting a good psychic feeling for it. Speaking of writing books, you said that you were writing one.
I am in the middle of writing a book.
What can you tell us about that then, Carrie?
I can't tell you anything about it because I'm a ghost writer.
What a hypocrite. You spent the whole of last series banging on about how I'm not going to expose my news, and yet here you are doing the same thing. Give us a bit of a clue. Is it fiction or non-fiction?
It is fiction, but it's supposed to be based on fact. Let's just put that out there.
Interesting. All right. Okay, excellent. Maybe if we do another series, over every single episode, I can try and coax some information out of you like you did with me.
Yeah, it's not all about me, though, this, is it?
Well, it can be if you want to be.
Nah,
we'll change the name of the podcast if you want. Carrie Saxon Podcast. Exciting. Right, Carrie, as I am the new official host of Ghost Book Podcast,
that's what I've been told.
Quite like being a host. I think, could you imagine late nights with Sylvester Da Silva? That'd be great.
Oh my God, I just shivered at that.
I mean, if James Corden can do it, so can I. Yeah, Don't you not think?
James Corden is actually quite talented.
Yeah, likewise. Like 2 peas in a pod. Well, Carrie, how are you? That's an easy question. How are you?
I am moderately okay. Thank you for asking, Sylvester.
That's good. What have you been up to then? I know you mentioned a podcast.
Well, I've got my podcast, Carry On Ghosts.
Yes. Ooh, that passed me by. But something I did see on my little when I was browsing the podcast, because I do like to listen to a good podcast, as I'm sure our listeners will attest to, as they are listening to a fantastic podcast themselves. I came across this podcast. I think you've been involved in it, called "Excuse the Mess."
That's nothing.
Something like that.
Me. Nothing.
Were you paid to do that?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know the podcast.
You were in it. You were definitely in it.
I definitely wasn't. Excuse the mess.
Excuse the mess. Now I've got some notes for you. Okay.
Oh, great! I can't wait.
Right. Let me read. So we've got several pages actually, but the main ones for me are The podcast needs more diversity, i.e., needs a male lead.
A male lead. Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
take it
think.
there's a female lead in this one then?
Yeah, it's quite
Okay.
one-sided, I think.
Oh,
You do need to
one-sided.
you
Okay.
need to consider diversity these days, Cara. It's very important. So, a strong male lead, and if you're looking for one, I might have the time to potentially
I will
partake
drop
in
them an
such a thing.
email. I'll drop them
Yeah.
an email now and let them know.
But I mean, the main thing as well is in terms of because I understand it was a fictional podcast.
Was it? Okay.
I must say, you do sound like, and I gotta be perfectly honest, I'll be blunt, and
Yeah.
this does come across in this podcast as well. You do sound a little bit like a show off. I don't necessarily mean that
What?
negatively.
What?
I don't mean that negatively.
I don't even know what that means. A show off.
But well,
I
because you've
mean,
got
I don't know who the other person is,
it's
but
because you've
in
got
this,
that Cardiff thing. You got that Cardiff thing.
what's wrong with Cardiff?
You want to go down to the arms park?
I
That
do
kind
not
of thing.
sound like that. I can do it. Get your car in the car.
And I get
Cardiff Arms Park. I can do that, but I don't.
That's a good example, because I was going to say
not to.
I was going to say from the enunciation, I would say limited education. What university did you go to, by the way?
I'm not going to say that in public.
Ugh.
But I did recently find out. I did recently found. I can't speak. I did recently find.
It was a good university.
I just found out that they're number one in sustainability in the whole of the UK.
Oh, I mean, that is very much like
it's a proud boast, isn't it?
A runner-up prize, isn't it, in the egg and spoon race?
Look,
you came last, but here's your award for taking part.
It was a good university. It was just a shame about the people I met there, but it was, it was great. Otherwise,
would you endorse this university?
Not publicly, obviously.
All right. What about privately?
No, not even then.
All right. Okay. Well, I mean, I think that kind of wraps up that section, Carrie. Do you
That's
think?
it. That was enough all about your questions. You wanted to talk to me about how I am. What have I been up to?
Moderately okay.
Moderately okay. A podcast that I've got nothing to do with. I've not even heard of it. Is it any good?
Yeah, excuse the mess.
Yeah, but is it any good?
I don't know. I didn't scroll down far enough to look at the reviews.
Oh, okay then, fair enough.
That's why I was going to hold off writing a review myself, because I wanted to give you the notes.
And then I'm a show-off, just because I'm from Cardiff, which, by the way, is xenophobic. In fact, that wouldn't offend Wales. They don't like us either. Okay, then, is that it? Can I ask you questions next?
See, Carrie, this is the kind of gusto that you need in the podcast. Some fire, some emotion.
Sylvester, it's Halloween again. Can you tell me, as somebody who claims to see ghosts on a regular basis, is there any additional ghosts or additional activity around Halloween? Or is that just something that's been commercialised over the years?
Well, Carrie, that's a very good question, and it deserves a proper answer.
I thought so.
Oh, right. Yes, of course. No, joking, Carrie. I've thought about a career in politics,
You'd be very good.
But no, in answer to your question, well, it's a bit difficult really for me, really, isn't it? Because I'm a psychic medium. Everything is kind of a bit spooky and strange and mysterious.
Yeah.
The things I deal with day in, day out, whether people come to me with claims that the houses are haunted, I have mentioned in the past, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're not. I'm not a charlatan. I'm not someone who's going to take advantage of poor people by saying, oh, yeah, you've got ghosts up in your house. That's going to be a grand to clear them out. Hey, Carrie, listen, it depends. It all depends. It depends on the property. It depends on the type of spirit you've got. Your ordinary garden variety ghost, a couple £100 to get rid of one of them, no problem. Poltergeist, demon, a djinn, things like that, it's going to get pricey because they latch on. So in answer to your question, Carrie, I think that there is a bit more activity. I think that there is a little bit more, mostly because it's the evenings are drawing in, it's getting darker, and it's just that kind of, especially with Halloween, people get spooked out a little bit more. So the reports certainly go up. I get flooded with a lot more calls, but as I mentioned, in some cases,
it's not necessarily because there are more active ghosts. It's more active imaginations. That's what it is.
So what you're suggesting is you might get a flurry of reports of ghostly activity, but it just might be people overexcited, enjoying Halloween, enjoying the dark nights, the pumpkins. Just might be in the mind.
It could possibly. Obviously, I'm only one person. I can only investigate so much, so I'm not able to do a proper consensus of it all. But in cases that I've looked at, I've gone into locations, and sure enough, there's nothing to it. And they're convinced, dead convinced. And Carrie, this may surprise you, even I can definitively say Da Silva Towers, apart from my haunted artifact collection, I've got Annabelle, Robert the Evil Doll, and all them upstairs in the attic. Da Silva Towers is not haunted whatsoever. But
okay.
I do, even with my psychic powers, my psychic abilities, I still manage to freak myself out from time to time, walking around the house, particularly when it's dark. As I mentioned, evenings have drawn in October, November time. Things are a little bit spooky, a little bit mysterious, especially when there's a full moon out. Could be walking around Da Silva Towers, down the hallway. Did I just see a shadow down there or not?
Right.
And surely, Carrie, you must have this as well. In Saxon Towers, you must surely.
Yeah, I definitely don't live in a haunted house, but I sometimes you see shadows in the corner of your eye and things like that. Then, yeah, I think that happens to everyone, doesn't it?
I think so. Hey, Carrie, how about this one? A very brief story. There I was in Da Silva Towers in the kitchen, washing up one of my cereal bowls. I had the back door open as well, and I was doing a bit of washing up. And at the corner of my eye, oh, what's that? I saw something. So I went to investigate. Looked outside, and sure enough, there was a squirrel, bold as brass, looking to come in. And so he saw me and he scarpered.
Wow, a squirrel.
So I suppose the gist of my story is that if you see something out of the corner of your eye, it might not necessarily be your imagination. It might actually be something, even if it is just a squirrel trying to get into your house.
And not a ghost.
And not a ghost. I don't know. It may have been a ghost squirrel. It's possible. They haven't discussed about animal spirits, have we?
No. Do you know what? One of your questions in the Q&A was about pets, but we can just address it now. Do you have any living pets?
Pets. I do have one living pet. I've always had a dog, always had a man's best friend, always had a dog about the place. He's got psychic gifts as well, as you
of course he has,
as you would expect.
And so, Sylvester, I'm glad we've actually got time to catch up now. Are you at Da Silva Towers?
Unfortunately not, Carrie. A couple of months ago, there was an unfortunate incident and Da Silva Towers burned to the ground.
Oh no, Sylvester.
The thing was, it was always going to come back and bite me in the end. When you fill your attic space with all the haunted artifacts that you can lay your hands on, some of them, as I have said, I had the actual Annabelle doll. I also had the aptly named Robert, the Evil Doll. They say that it was an electrical fault. I genuinely believe that those two haunted dolls conspired together and set the attic on fire.
And did Annabelle and Robert get out, or they?
I have not seen them since. And as far as I'm concerned, good riddance. Because ultimately, they were inhabited by evil spirits, and I was letting them live there completely rent-free.
Have you had any other high-profile cases?
None really, to be honest. So I got a little bored. So I thought, what's one of my talents? What am I able to do? And I thought, I'm rather good at teaching, I think. I'm rather good at imparting my extensive knowledge. I took up a post as a guest lecturer at Edinburgh University in the parapsychology unit, which I thought at the time was right up my street, you see. The thing for me is some people might say that I'm a little eccentric, potentially.
Wouldn't say a little,
that I'm a character, that I'm dramatic. I've got this panache for extraordinary, that sort of thing, and the way that I dress, the way that I act sometimes. But being in higher education, I was surrounded by some really strange people. And I'm talking about some of the academics and the lecturers.
Right.
It really grated on me, and it really jaded. I was rather jaded. And so I didn't enjoy my experience there. Let me give some examples. So there was one lecturer who I would associate with from time to time. He wasn't in the parapsychology unit itself. His name is John Morgan. Such an odd fellow. He visually, you remember Les Patterson? That Harry Humphrey's character, the cultural attaché.
Yes.
He looked very much like that. Always wore a suit, but I mean, there were some really gross, ghastly stains on the
Yes.
suit, and his tie was always looked like somebody had just tried to wring his neck with it. And he had a
Sounds
very
delightful.
odd way of speaking. It was like his jaw dropped every time he spoke. His lower jaw
Oh.
dropped at a considerable distance every time he spoke like that. And there was also another one, quite possibly the most arrogant man I've ever met in my life. For anybody to say that they don't fit in because they've been born into the wrong dimension, you think pure arrogance. The breaking point for me was when one of the students asked Elizabeth Fielding, the head of the faculty, what is the point in teaching us this subject or some of the modules? And the response was, well, if you want to go into teaching yourself, this would be quite useful. And then straight away I thought there's an endless cycle of just pointlessness here, isn't there?
Yeah.
So I just thought, no, that's it for me. Came back down from Scotland. And in terms of what I'm doing now.
Yes. What are you doing now?
I came up with a fantastic idea. I don't know if anything like this has been done in the UK before. I have struck up a partnership with a former, I wouldn't say nemesis, but somebody that I had some professional difficulties with in the past. And that's Xander Devereux. I'm sure he won't mind me saying he's fallen on hard times. I think there's a lot of people who are out there who are afraid, who are uncertain.
What do you mean?
Well, say somebody's murdered in peculiar circumstances. Peculiar circumstances, and it's quite possible that a demon may have been involved or a poltergeist or something like that. We're essentially private investigators, but specializing in the paranormal and the psychic. So we have our own detective agency. We're calling it the Da Silva and Devereux Psychic and Paranormal Detective Agency. That's in the works at the moment. That's what I'm focusing on. And I'm going to commit to this. I'm not going to, in a couple of months' time, just decide that I've had enough. There we are. That's me.
I think someone should be committed.
Absolutely. Right. I mean, I'm committed. That's what I've just said.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, how could I get that wrong?
I mean, it's not just me. He has appeared on the podcast before, and I've got a couple of messages here from Xander himself. So maybe that will emphasize to you, Carrie, that this isn't just some flash in the pan idea that I've come up with one morning when I arose from my slumber.
Was it a week? Did you take a week and think about it? Or was it just 3 days? Or maybe
I think 9 days.
8, 9. Whoa, okay then. Sorry. I think I've been quite dismissive of you.
You've been very dismissive. But anyway, Carrie, here's
a
message on my answer phone.
Oh, Sylvester, old bean, it's Xander. I haven't spoke to you in ages. You know how it is. I've been doing book signings and tours and everything like that. Business is booming, young man. Anyway, I thought I'd ring you up. I just had an amazing idea that maybe we should do a joint venture together. We could call it Devereux and Da Silva Psychic Detective Agency. I think it would just be...
Jeremy, would you like some marmalade
It's
with
not.
your toast?
It's not Jeremy, mother. It's Xander.
Okay, Xander.
And yes, please.
You don't have to go into any details on these, Sylvester. There is reports in the news about you being abducted by aliens.
Well, it's funny that you say that, Carrie, because back when you were trying to get hold of me and I was doing all those investigations, I had a week where I can't seem to remember. And there's a possibility that I may have been abducted by aliens. I can't quite put my finger on it. But the thing is now, with the paranormal, it's not just exclusively confined to the realms of ghosts and spirits and demons and what have you. We talk about UFOs, we spoke about unidentified, or UAPs, I think, as we need to refer to them now.
UAPs?
Yeah, unidentified aerial phenomena. It's the official title that the American military has put on them. So they've officially recognized that there are.
Haven't they got better things to talk about? Or?
Well, you see, the thing is, though, Carrie, you say that, but when you wake up tomorrow morning and there's a giant, great big alien spaceship hovering over London, then you're going to be thinking, oh, perhaps maybe I was wrong and that they were right to take it seriously. I just have some very odd memories. I mean, it could possibly have been just a fever dream, but you've got to keep your mind open to these things, haven't you?
I will. I will accept if that's what you say. I'm a bit reluctant to ask you this now, having heard about your fire. But your hat collection.
Oh, that's all gone, Carrie.
Oh, no.
All gone. The thing is, everything, this is the title of a song, isn't it? Everything's eventual. Is it? Are you sure?
Everything's eventual.
Carrie, look this up.
Stephen King wrote a book called Everything's Eventual.
Oh, there we have it then. Yeah, I can't use that now. I was going to put that, have a book myself. I don't know what I've written about, but...
You could just change it slightly. Everything's eventually, maybe, or everything is eventually everything.
These are starting to sound like really dire James Bond film titles. Everything's eventually again.
This has been actually quite good, Carrie. We should have said the theme for this episode is just any old rubbish.
Any old
Just any old
It's Halloween.
tosh.
And do you have any pets that you consider like imaginary pets in your house?
Imaginary pets.
You might think they're real. You might think there's a ghost cat or a ghost dog, but they're not real, are they?
That sounds like a good idea for a series, isn't it?
Ghost cat and ghost dog.
Ghost dog.
Could you imagine their adventures?
Scrap that book that you're writing, Carrie. Write the
Yeah.
screenplay for this. Netflix will have it, no problem.
Netflix are demanding our stuff.
They'll stream any old rubbish these days.
No, they're a very multifaceted company, but that produces quality entertainment. Can we get that in writing, please? Can we get that? I think Netflix is brilliant and I am available for work. Thank you.
Yeah, Netflix, you heard it here first. Carrie Saxon wants your money.
And your time and your patience.
Did you know, we're going off completely off topic here, Carrie, but did you know that somebody wrote a play about ghost sleuthers?
No, really?
I found this out in one of my kind of bored half hours when I was just looking
Right.
at the internet,
Yeah.
seeing if there was anything about any ghost sleuthers related stuff, seeing if Katrina had written any garbage about me on Twitter.
She
I
did as well.
discovered an obscure. She did, yeah.
Yeah.
I discovered an obscure website where somebody had written a parody play about ghost sleuthers about 15 years ago.
15 years ago.
Probably
Wow.
not 15 years ago, actually. Maybe more like 10. 10's a bit more realistic, isn't it?
Probably 11.
Maybe
If I
even
was
8.
going to be pedantic, I'd say 11 and maybe 8.
10 and a half.
Really?
I can't believe it. I didn't have any information about the cast. I don't know. All I could see is that it ran for 2 nights back in October, X number of years ago.
Wow. That sounds really good, though. I wish I'd seen that. Sounds
And-
quite class.
I'll talk about whatever I like now. Go on, Carrie. I want to hear a spooky story from you now.
I haven't got a spooky story because there's no such thing as ghosts.
Right, Carrie, as was a bit of a trademark from our previous series, I have some ghostly news for you.
Ooh.
How about this for a headline?
Yes.
Irish woman tells of terrifying supernatural ordeal after hearing voices when stuck in the woods.
Oh, the poor
We-
dear. Please tell
We
me
have
more.
a quote straight from the source. I have a very professional job. I'm not crazy. I'm quite logical, but then the call came from the other side of me. I knew something wasn't right. So just to give you a bit of an idea, so a woman has spoken about her everyday walk that turned into a terrifying ordeal as she believes she may have been trapped by fairies in the woods.
Oh,
the
dear.
woman from Meath took to Twitter to tell a chilling story, and while many people don't believe in these types of things, her story is sounding scarily legitimate to some readers. The gist of this is, Carrie,
Yes.
this lady is taken to Twitter to say that she went on a walk, which she takes quite often, and became trapped in the woods because of fairies. Just
Okay.
to give you a little bit more, she says,
Yeah,
when
please
I got
tell
back,
me.
when I got back to the car, I looked at my steps. She was out there trying to get her steps up.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Exactly. So the
And-
horrors of Fitbit. You see, this
Yeah,
is what will happen.
exactly.
You want to get your steps in and then you get trapped in the woods because of some fairies. The last
Okay.
time I checked my step count, I had done 8,000 steps or something like that. I put
Right.
on an extra 10,000 steps. I didn't come from a family that would have believed in that sort of stuff. Certain
Okay.
things just stick in your head. And that's why I remembered the turning the clothes inside out thing.
What? Sorry, say that
Exactly.
again.
Yeah,
What?
well, exactly. You just
She
can
turned the clothes. Why? What?
you can apply that reaction to the entire story, I think, by looking at it.
Sylvester, don't write this off. Don't be cynical about this poor
No,
woman.
I've been very cynical about fairies, to be honest. I'm not entirely convinced.
Well, how
and,
do we know fairies don't exist?
There's some giveaway signs, you see, Carrie. When
Okay.
somebody says, I have a very professional job, I'm not
Right.
crazy, maybe I'm becoming a bit more cynical.
I think you
However,
are.
I would love to know what this very professional job is. And when somebody says that I'm not crazy, do you know what I think? I think they're crazy.
Sylvester? Sorry, if you're listening, please talk to me. You can get me on Carrie Saxon's Ghosts at outlook.com. Thank you.
Fantastic. We've got your plug in now, Carrie. I understand you've got a ghost story you'd like to tell us.
Yes, I've got a ghost story.
Right,
Okay.
go on.
Now, this is something quite. This is
Peculiar.
It's peculiar, but I'll just say it.
Haunting.
It's a haunting. Do you remember the crying doll pictures from the old days? The son
Yes.
decided that they were cursed because they were burning down houses,
Yes.
and obviously it wasn't. But it was the sun. What can you do? So they made a massive
Potato.
bonfire and tried to burn all these paintings, and
Right.
then they found out that it was to do with how they were sealed. The reason they didn't burn in the fires was because of the sealant on the paintings. This is just off the top of my head from memories. So it might not be in the sealant, it might be in some kind of gloss or glue, whatever, or
Yeah.
went over it. It stopped the pictures from burning.
The sealant was obviously imbued with some sort of paranormal
No,
substance or power,
just
which was
couldn't
preventing
catch
the fire. One of my favorite things when I have a bit of downtime, have some time off, I will look at all the kind of top 5, top 10, top 20 ghost sightings of the week. There's a couple of good ones on the YouTube. We have Nuke's top 5s and another one called just top 5s and YouTube titles like that. And increasingly, I'm beginning to think that over time, increasingly, surely, with all the advancements in mobile phone technology, why is it that all the footage looks like it was recorded on a web camera from about 20 years ago?
But that could be because of the psychic phenomena. It could be like ghosts interrupting the signal.
Psychic phenomena. Psychic phenomena.
Yeah, write that
Indeed,
down.
yes.
And we're back. And Sylvester, I need to know what happened to your friend, Mr. Devereaux, and your psychic detective agency.
Oh, do you know what, Carrie? This is actually the first time that I've thought about this, that has crossed my mind since it was last mentioned a year ago.
What?
I haven't spoken to Xander Devereaux in, a year.
It was a good idea, and I'm really surprised because I said it would last a few days, but obviously it didn't even last a few days after that, what did it?
No, I mean, the thing is, Carrie, you know me, I do have a notoriously bad attention span. And, just sat here looking at this laptop and this book here and looking at my shopping list. So got to remember to do that tomorrow. That's by the by. What I've been interested in the last couple of months, and I know it's something that you're interested in as well. I've really plundered the depths of conspiracy theories.
No, please don't. No, Sylvester.
Oh, no, come on, Carrie. You love it. You love it.
I don't. I really don't.
Because, everything's a conspiracy. Have you heard of, and this is quite poignant, have you heard of the phenomena of mysterious sounds? And let me be a bit more specific. Areas around the world where people report hearing a constant, potentially ominous rumble, a hum, a high-pitched noise just around the area, and it doesn't seem to be coming from anywhere, but everyone can hear it.
Yeah.
Have you heard of anything about that?
Yeah, I know a little bit about it, but I haven't. It's always been found that there's a rational explanation for it.
Well, in some cases, yes, but in some areas around the world, it's a little disturbing. It ranges from, as I say, hums and high-pitched things, but I was quite interested because I was aware of something similar down in Swansea in South Wales. Now, I would have zero interest or motivation to ever want to go to Swansea. Would you?
Is this your xenophobia coming out again, or?
Answer the question, would you? I'll take that silence as read. Okay. So, I was aware there was a sound going on in Swansea, in quite a large area that people could hear, and it was constant day and night.
I've not heard of it.
Nobody worked out where it was coming from. So I went down there. A couple of months ago
to do an
extensive search.
You never popped in for a cup of tea, or?
A fleeting visit. I had to get there, had to come back. As soon as this investigation was done,
I'm sure you did.
I've got to get out of this place.
Okay, fair enough.
So I went to Swansea, did it, as I say, an extensive search.
I had loads of high-tech equipment with me. I was wandering around. I had a stethoscope. I was holding it in the air, listening to it, and yep, sure enough, there was a sound.
Oh my
There was a
God. I'm sure
constant
there's
sound.
lots of sounds in Swansea. It's a big place. It's a city. There's people there. You should come to Cardiff. There's power tools going off any time of the day or night.
Oh no, this is what it definitely wasn't at all. It was a kind of a low hum, like constantly just radiating from somewhere.
Are
And I
you
could swear
sure?
that the ground was slightly rumbling. And do you
And
know what I think?
go on, what do you think?
I'm convinced that the Welsh government have
Oh,
created some sort of
well, this will be good.
some suppression field, something like some sound wave that interferes with people's cars, which will force people to drive at the 20-mile-an-hour limit that they've recently imposed.
That is
I
incredible.
think there's some evidence in there, and I think Swansea is the testing ground.
Yeah, give me a minute. Just give me a minute because I need to look this up because I have never heard anything so stupid in my life. Okay, have you ever been to like a big concert place or
A
gone
big
to see a band?
concert.
Gone to see a band maybe?
No, not in this
Stadium
life.
concert, or have you ever been to a football or rugby game or anything like that?
Well, what's this got to do with the Swansea hum?
Wow. Have you ever seen something that us in the real world like to call a burger van?
Burger van.
A burger van?
Sorry, burger van.
It's a van.
What
And
kind of phenomena is this?
it's a van, right? And what they do inside this van is sell burgers.
Right, okay, I get a burger van, but what's this got to do with the Swansea hum?
Well, because they're in a van as opposed to a shop, a restaurant
Yeah,
or anything
hence
like that.
burger van.
Yes. It needs to be driven by something called electricity. And do you know where they get electricity from? It's something called a generator.
Okay, and what has this got to do? I say again, what's this got to do with the Swansea hum?
Because a generator makes a humming noise, which was found in Swansea. Why are you making stuff up? Sylvester's been solved.
Where's your sources? Fake news. I want to see.
What's your sources on the bloody burger? No, stop it. Where's my sources? What is the matter with you? It's probably from the same article that you've just read.
Well, I mean, now you come to mention it, I didn't read all of it.
What is
Another
wrong with
conspiracy.
you?
Another conspiracy solved, folks. On to the next bit.
Please read to the end next time. Sylvester, as I've alluded to, my thoughts have changed slightly since our last podcast.
Yeah, I was getting the impression, Carrie.
And seeing as you kindly asked me what I've been up to in the last 2 years, I will tell you, I've become a bit of a psychic investigator.
Fantastic
I'm
news.
not a medium. I don't pretend to be a medium.
No, I know that. Yeah.
I can't pretend to see ghosts, but I'm more and more convinced that there is such a phenomena.
Well, I mean, I went through a whole podcast series of me trying to convince you. It seems ultimately that's the intended effect. I mean, I can't possibly believe that you're doing this for monetary gain. Absolutely not. But I do get the sense that there's a book title that's going to spill out from your mouth at any second.
No, the Silver Linings Ghost book will be in the shops for Christmas.
Great.
I've had 3 TV series on reality TV. Saxon's Ghost.
Must have missed those, Carrie.
Saxon's Poltergeist and Saxon's Scared.
Saxon's Scared. Now, were you scared?
I was scared because there were ghosts there. But I didn't see them again, so that's okay. All I want to do is, now we're here, I just want to mention a few things. My podcast, Carrie Saxon Investigates Ghosts. It's out on all good platforms, and that includes Apple, Spotify, and, the others. Can I just let everyone know about my social media handles? So on Twitter and Insta, I'm Saxon Para. On Facebook, please join my group, Carrie Saxon Investigates. My website is Carrie Saxon Paranormal. My TikTok is Ghost Carrie S. And I have now a Patreon set up. So if you want to know more about my ghostly tales, please do. I charge anything from $5 to $50 a month to hear my side of the story. So that you can look for me under Carrie Saxon, but the name of the channel is Carrie Saxon's Ghostly Tales. And don't forget about my YouTube channel, Carrie Saxon's Ghostly Adventures. Have I missed anything?
That sounds quite thorough to me, Carrie.
And you put a curse on me.
When did I put a curse on you?
I think it was between episodes 4 and 5.
Well,
no, maybe
consider
3
it-
or 4. Can you take it off me now,
I can't
please?
remember. Yeah, consider it lifted. I can't
Because
remember
I've got
what
to
it
set
was.
up a Patreon just to cope with the cost of living at the moment.
I think it was I put a curse on your PayPal account. That's what it was.
Yeah, please, can you take that off now?
Yeah,
please,
consider it
Sylvester?
lifted.
And we're back, and Sylvester's let me take control of the reins once more, which is great news for me. And he's sulking in a corner, I think, at the moment. No, he's still there. Okay, then. So, because it's Halloween, it'd be really good if I told a spooky ghost story. Don't you think, Sylvester? Okay, then. I'm just going to crack on with my ghost story because I think you're going to be really impressed by the end of this, Sylvester. Really impressed. So here we go. Now, this takes place in a little village just north of South Wales. Village just north of South Wales town. And that really impressed. But inside Wales, this black Cardiff Arms Park village, there was a town hall.
Oh, whoops, sorry about that, folks. It appears that there are some gremlins in the system. It is Halloween after all. There's a ghost in the machine somewhere. Unfortunately, Carrie's wonderful story got distorted somehow. I don't know, some encryption database, technical, computer, jargony stuff. But do not worry, do not fret, for I have recorded a story of my own just to take its place. You know, not saying that it's any better than Carrie's, but there's a slight possibility that it might be. I'm going to do something a bit different, add a bit of drama and flair to the podcast. I'm going to tell you about a very true story about myself and my encounter with Black Shuck during my time in East Anglia. It was 13 years ago, whilst I was still enjoying fame with ghost sleuthers. However, not all was well. Despite all the attention and praise, for I was quite brilliant, things were off, shall we say. Of course, there were the issues with my series co-host, but this is when something first started clawing at my mind, leaving a wound so deep it pains me still. This was my first encounter with Black Shuck. The Ghost Sleuthers team were visiting a stereotypical haunted locale. It was a trying time for me. I'd recently lost a dear friend to the great beyond. Work pressure, tensions with co-workers, and an over-reliance on self-medication resulted in a trying time for your favourite psychic medium extraordinaire. We were filming at a rather quaint locale. Beautiful day, birds chirping. I was distracted, to say the least. The crew had walked around the building while I was stumbling around in a daze. What caused this, I asked myself, as a dark cloud started to descend in my mind. I heard an unfamiliar voice shout, "Sylvester!" This shook me from my stupor. Knowing the strict work ethic, I quickly ran to catch up with the team. I do not remember my journey. The next thing I know, I'm on the building's roof. Some 5 stories high, staring down, a strong wind blowing. I came to, and down below was a huge black dog, just sat there, staring, with one singular, fiery red eye. I heard what sounded like a low growl. Scaring me senseless, I stepped back. The beast stood, still staring, then turned and walked back into the ether, vanishing without a trace. I later discovered the local legend called Black Shuck, a towering black dog with one burning red eye. Stories suggest it to be a portent of doom. Other tales imply it to be a warning of some kind. I've never seen this ferocious beast since, but when things get a little dark, I'm convinced Black Shuck is watching me still.
And that was the spookiest ghost story that there ever was. The end. And I think he's speaking to me now. Did you enjoy that story, Sylvester?
Oh, yeah, that was sensational, Carrie.
Ah, that's lovely. I thought you'd gone to sleep at one stage, but obviously not, because right at the end, I got a really big cheer, but unfortunately, the recording had stopped, so you didn't get the cheering and clapping. So I'm
No,
sorry about that.
sadly.
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 Hey, and now it's time for a Q&A. What is your favourite pop group?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know. That's okay. And what is your favourite sweet?
Favorite sweet?
Yeah.
Are these questions that you just made up on the spot, Carrie, or
No.
have these actually been sent in?
This was sent in by a little boy called Scott, and he's 7 years old. And he
Oh.
idolizes you, and he would just wanted to ask you
Well, Carrie,
a few questions.
if I had known that, I'd have put much more effort into
Well,
it.
you've blown it now. You've lost a fan. Sorry, Scott. And happy Halloween, Scott.
Happy Halloween!
Are you ready?
Yep, go for it, Carrie.
Question 1. Have you got anything to say to me? And that message is from Brian Cox.
I don't know which Brian Cox this is. So my answer, and this is my final answer, is no.
Question 2. Who is the most enormously talented dead person you've ever met? And that's someone called Noel Coward.
Oh, goodness me. Famously, I mean, there've been so many over the years. Recently, I had a very interesting conversation with Kenneth Williams, which was very interesting, very illuminating. I didn't really get a word in edgeways because he had a particular talent to just talk and talk and talk. That was quite interesting. I suppose the most famous would be Jesus Christ.
And question 3 is, will you do another series with me? That's my question, to be clear.
Maybe. Ask me again in 2 years' time.
Question time.
3 questions for Sylvester. And
Brilliant.
question 1. If there was a movie of your life, who would you want to play you?
Oh, that's a question. I would say Lars Mikkelsen.
Right. Danish actor?
Yes, the one and only.
Okay. Did we ever?
I don't know why. I think I saw something with him in it recently, and that's all I could think of.
Oh, okay. So we're going to go a bit of Desert Island Discs on you on this
Right.
one. Question 2.
Okay.
And this one came from the X, formerly known as Twitter. So make it a good one, because we all love Mr. Musk and his X, don't we? So the question is, on Desert Island Discs, you're allowed 1 record, 1 item, and a book. So can you tell me what those 3 things would be? So you can have 1 record you can listen to forever, 1 item which you can keep forever, and 1 book. What would they be?
Oh, what record? I would say maybe something by ELO.
ELO.
Electric Light Orchestra.
Yeah, they were around before you were born, weren't they, Sylvester?
Yeah, but I'm still able to listen to their stuff now, you see.
Oh, good point.
see?
Excellent point.
I know, exactly. It's mad, isn't it? Something like that, just to keep yourself chipper. And when you say an object, can this be like a speedboat with lots of fuel in it?
No, but it's a good one.
Or is there a caveat?
That is the caveat. You can't escape the island with your one thing.
I would say, and I'm guessing not like a radio, which is, I can transmit my location.
You can have.
I'd say no. Go on.
Keeping in theme,
keeping in character. Go on a Ouija board.
You'd have a Ouija board.
I mean, well, of course, I can contact people to let them know where I am. So yeah, a Ouija board and then a book. Probably How to Survive on a Desert Island.
Excellent choice. And the last one being, how are you, Sylvester? You seemed really, really quite
chipper.
Oh, yes, I'm absolutely fine, Carrie. I mean, the thing is, I've been a little preoccupied with this whole conspiracy thing because it does concern me a little bit reading what I've been going into. But I've come to the conclusion, I mean, you pointed out there that whole business of the burger van, that article, it stings me sometimes because I've had my fair amount of bad press, obviously back in the Ghost Truthers days. And it just leads me to the ultimate conclusion that listeners, burn your newspapers. Don't look at the news online. You don't know who's written those words. You don't know why they want you to read those words. You don't even know who I am. But I'm telling you, you need to be careful out there. Go incognito, private browsers if you must go on the internet. Get off social media. Because there are people out there who want you to do things that you don't realize. And that is probably the scariest thing I could probably come up with this Halloween.
Thank you for got to the end of that, because one of the presenters didn't even get to the beginning. Anyway, I'm sure it was really good. Now we're here, let me tell you all about the ways you can contact me. First of all, you can contact me on the website. Hello, you're through to Carrie Saxon. You know what to do after the beep.
Hello? Carrie, hello? I seem to have been greeted by your infernal answer service yet again. Are you getting my messages? Oh gosh, I do hope everything's all right. Anyway, listen, Halloween is a no-go this year for the podcast. I can't explain why, but let's just say I'm on a trip to the USA at the moment. I'll be back in November. I was thinking, how about a Christmas special instead? If you must put something out for the spooky season, just throw some clips together from older episodes. Those stupid listeners won't know the difference. And even if they do, clip shows are the done thing anyway when a series is fast approaching its jump the shark moment. Anyway, I've got to go. Let me know what you think. Ta!
Ghost Book Podcast was devised and performed by John Parry and Jackie J. Sarah. It is a deliciously bright production. If you enjoyed this, please give us a 5-star review or donate via Buy Me a Coffee. All details, including full credits, can be found on the website ghostbookpodcast.com.